Hi, everybody, and welcome to B in the Know, Table Games and More. I'm your host, Benny Mancino, known as the B-Man. And tonight, we're going to start a series where we talk about the different jurisdiction and what it's like to be there. You know, I've roamed around the country, and I've kind of gotten used to a lot of jurisdictions, and there's some I don't know. And the one we're going to talk about tonight, I don't really personally know or have any kind of experience at. And I think it's important to share that information with those out there who they might be looking for a new job, and they can, by what we tell them in these series, they might decide, well, I might go there, or I might go here, or I'm staying away from there. So that's what we're going to do. And my guest tonight from Finger Lakes is Mr. Michael Chapman. Michael, welcome to Be in the Know.
I'm glad to be here. How are we doing, everyone?
And from Rivers Casino in Schenectady, New York, TJ Thomas McOwen. Good morning and good afternoon, and welcome to Be in the Know.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you guys. So from what I've researched, there's 25 casinos in New York, and it might be one or two I missed. It looks like there's like 12 Native American. Now they have their own regulators. Am I correct about that?
Correct.
Yes. They don't follow New York Gaming Commission. And you, Michael, being Finger Lakes, you follow the Lottery Commission, right?
Correct. It's a division of the Gaming Commission. So now we just call them the Commission. We used to call them the Lottery. But yep, you are correct.
Okay, and New York has racinos, casinos, Native American casinos, right? I think I'm named them all. It looks like there's 16 of the casinos in the state that have actual physical table games. Some have automated table games. And, then we've got on the horizon New York City coming online. So now I'm going to tell you, so from what I understand, slots in a commercial casino is taxed at 37%. Is that right, Tom?
Correct.
How about in the VLTs? Is that the same for you?
No, the tax rate works a little bit differently in that we technically lease the space to the vendors. So the vendors own the games. We lease the space to them, and that's on a contract basis. And then the state gets some, we get some, and the vendors get some.
Oh, that's interesting. Very, very interesting. And now, does that end up putting a lot of lease product, like at a casino? We would be talking about a participation game. So you have a lot of newer product, I would guess.
Yes, yeah, we've over COVID, it was a very slow turnover on any type of product, both with the supply chain issues, as well as there was some delays in contract signing. So there wasn't a lot of turnover in product then. So we've had I've done in the last year probably about 50% of the floor is all new product. So
yeah, I would think
new titles is probably another 20%.
Yeah, I would think if a vendor had skin in the game, they would keep their best skin on the floor.
Yeah.
So TJ, tables 10% is the tax rate on tables.
Yep, 10%.
That's pretty good, really. I
mean,
mean,
that's why we're always looking to improve our table games.
Right, you need to put a dealer inside of a slot machine or something. That would really work out well there. That'd be all sorts of a new type of hybrid, right? Mm-hmm. Sports betting. Now, if I read this right, there 51% is the tax rate on sports betting all across the board.
That is correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Did they not? Am I just imagining this? Or maybe it's a different state. During COVID, didn't they give you some kind of a break on the tax rate, TJ?
Yes.
But that's over.
That's over. Yep.
Okay.
And for a while it lasted.
And New York does or does not have iGaming presently?
Does not.
Does not.
No iGaming. But I'm hearing the rate on that's going to be 30%.
They're talking about the full slot tax rate at 37, but they're trying to negotiate
it down.
Yeah.
So Michael, do you have sports betting at Finger Lakes?
No, just the racing.
Racing and
thoroughbred
the
track and VLTs.
okay. And you got sports betting, TJ, right?
Yes. Once the internet came and that kind of destroyed us. We're doing very well prior to that.
Yeah, so you're saying the mobile
Mobile apps,
device,
yeah.
which
Mobile,
which is your device, no? I mean, it is Rivers, right?
yeah, Rivers has one,
But
but
you don't.
we're also competing in the market.
Yeah, the cut's totally different, right? So it's yeah, you'd rather have them bet right there at the casino. So
Yeah.
let's talk some table games now. So uh either one of you guys, is New York got is it stand on 17 like Pennsylvania, or is it 6-5? What would I see if I went into a casino in New York?
We have both high limit. We have stand and we have hit soft 17 out on the gaming floor.
Okay, so it is, you're not mandated like Pennsylvania. We have to stand on 17 no matter what. Michael, they have 6-5 in New York.
Oh yeah, yeah. They'll have 6-5. Typically, the 6-5 is going to be out on your retail games, and a lot of the high limits, like TJ said, are going to be the 3-2 games.
Okay. Yeah, now that's another thing. We're not, so we're mandated no 3-2, stand on 17, and late surrender here. You guys aren't mandated to late surrender in New York or anything, right?
No.
Okay, so you can kind of play with the rules from casino to casino. Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Oh,
A little more liberal than PA. Not a ton, but a little bit.
Mhm.
So tell me about craps in New York. Is it just strictly regular craps, or
Everything's as a normal craps game would run. We have you could have your bonus bet if you like fire or the alls, all your regular center action, your hot bets, all there.
Michael, are crapless craps anywhere in New York?
Not that I'm aware of. Now I know when I was in PA, there was an issue with breakage. I'm not sure if they still talk about that in PA where the house can't take the breakage. We were doing that when I set up here in New York and didn't get any feedback to the contrary. TJ, I don't know if you guys have had that situation pop up with regulatory or not.
Yeah, we can't. We got to have all straightforward bets. We can't have any breakage.
So if you would use something, you would have to round up, not down.
Yeah, round up. Yep.
But you don't have there's no such thing as crapless craps and
It's not in the regs. We'd have to submit.
write it in.
Yep.
Okay. It's it depends on where you're at. It started at Vegas World back in whatever. Now it's crept into the Midwest, and it's very popular in a lot of casinos like Cincinnati. We were able to run 3, or we probably could have run 4 crapless craps. And actually, my biggest player has a private crapless craps down when I was in Cincinnati. So it's very popular. So what's the big games up there? I mean, does New York, is it all over the board as far as AGS or Galaxy, or does the Light and Wonder rule the world up there, or what's the story?
Oh, Light and Wonder for novelties. We do have Spanish 21. Galaxy, we just converted our into Rising Phoenix with Golden Talons, and we have Golden Talons back up now. So with the membership we have, it keeps our costs down.
Okay. So well, you were at Tioga. Now it's like in a whole different area of the state. It's more positioned like in probably almost centrally located, right?
Central South.
So what's the flavor of the month there? Is it same? I mean, just standard games, or is it like, sometimes you can travel 250 miles. And I always try to tell a newbie director or something this, don't take whatever you had and just automatically think it's going to do well,
right?
Whatever, because that could definitely not be the case. So you're saying Tioga was fairly normal?
Pretty similar to what I experienced Del Lago as well. We ran the Galaxy games for the most part at both places. blackjack, craps, not as big. We certainly were a much bigger craps house when I was down at Rivers Pittsburgh. So more blackjack, more of the novelty games. That's big.
You know, that's really crazy, you know, like as you go around the different, especially as you get into more urban areas, you'll find definitely like roulette will be hot as heck, you know, it will dominate over craps. And then, you know, you move out in the country, you know, and you know, you barely get anybody walk by a roulette game. So it's just, you really can't, you just got to keep a pulse on what the player wants to play, right?
Yeah.
Right now in Schenectady, blackjack's number one, box two, roulette's three.
So is your baccarat player is that Asian market, or is it a mixture?
We really have a mixed market right now. After the pandemic, we had a lot of our blackjack players move over to baccarat.
Really? That's pretty interesting transition, yeah. And so it wouldn't surprise me because everything's changed, you know, since COVID. I don't know if you've seen this now. Now, tell me if I'm wrong. Do you close at night the table games?
We do.
Do
We
you
close
close the casino or just the table games?
just table games.
How about Finger Lakes, Michael? Is there any kind of closure?
Yeah, we run a 20-hour day.
20-hour day.
4 and open at 8.
We're getting ready to go to a 16-hour table games operation here in Erie. And I don't know, it seems to me since COVID, people are just not out as late, or do they have the appetite to be out in the middle of the night? I've seen a lot of restaurants too that, used to be, stone 24/7, and they've given up, and now some of them are even closed on Monday. Do you see that kind of mentality in New York?
I would say so.
Yeah, definitely in Schenectady.
Yeah, kind of closes up shop. Yeah, I think people feel safer, calling it a day at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. And I think we're heading in that direction. And especially in markets where you can't get the staff to really run a 24/7 operation. I think more and more, I think Del Lago just recently went to either a 20-hour or 16-hour a table games operation, and I think you're going to see more. I just the math don't work, and it's just you want to put your best effort where you got the most volume, and that's what we're doing here. There was no intentions of letting anybody go or anything. We're just repositioning what we have to be more effective. So yeah, that's interesting. So I'm going to put in a new table game. Tom, tell me how that goes in New York. Is that a big, never been in the market, whatever? And how long is it going to be before I'm playing that game?
Right now I have Pai Gow out, face up Pai Gow in for submission. It's been out probably 10, 11 months now. It's supposed to take 9 months, but I just think everything goes a lot slower now. So I still haven't heard back from gaming where it is in the pipeline.
Well, I think some of the gaming commissions, from what I hear, they're struggling staff-wise as well. And it always you try your best to be perfect when you're doing a submission, but I think if something comes back and now you got to resubmit it again, I think you go to the bottom of the bus, and that's it's tragic. It's very it can be tragic. So what's the story there in the video lottery world now? If there's a new game, Rich Little Piggies or I seen Rich Little Hens when I was out. I did this I don't know if you've seen it. I did this podcast with the Max Bet guys, and I
I
went
did.
to the studio, and it's right next to the gaming laboratory there, and they had all the new games. And I'm a big fan of like Rich Little Piggies, and now they got Rich Little Hens,
Yep.
and these little hens get fat in the game. So tell me, does it take a long time to get a game submitted and in operation at in the slot world?
Depending on the vendor, for VLTs, you can go from a class 3, what TJ's used to the VLT market now in about 9 months. So we can get pretty up-to-date titles on our floor. So I've got Huff and More Puff as one of the big ones.
Okay. So what about if I'm a newbie game maker and I'm trying to break in the market? Now see, like it's pretty hard here in Pennsylvania if you're not already in, because the cost, maybe the 50, say you're going to do pretty good business, you're going to either pay the 50 or 25 like Ohio does, or I think it's 50 here, but it's not that it gets you, it's the investigative fees.
Right.
If you got 4, 5, 6 people that are involved with you, it could run in the hundreds of thousands. So most people will not do that. Is that the way it is in New York, or is it a little more simplified? Like Michigan, I think it's only like 6,000, and you can get a vendor's license, and you're in business. What's the flavor up there in New York, Tom?
For table games, you have to have a vendor's license, number one, and you have to provide a GLI.
Is it pricey?
For a vendor's license, yeah, you get upwards of 25 to 50,000.
So it's right in the mode of Ohio and Pennsylvania. So if you're not in with the people who are already established, like AGS, Galaxy, Light and Wonder, you're going to have trouble, busting that nut. I mean, that's a big number. And that's something else I want to provide in this series is some of these new game creators, which we've seen a lot at the Mike Ewers at the Table Games Protection Conference with me. And there's a lot of new bright stars coming out there. I was really surprised. Even the ones that, and I'm not going to name them by name, which were just, before COVID, this is a story. I don't know why I'm going to go off on a rant, but that's what the B man does. Anyway, before COVID, believe it or not, I would have 5 or 6 people a month would contact me with their child, and I'm not their child, their game, right?
Right.
And they figured they'd bring it to me, and I always told them right off the bat, I said, listen, I'm going to be brutally honest. I said, and when you tell somebody their baby's got a big mole on its nose, it don't go over too well. So there was a couple of the babies that had moles on their nose at the Table Games Conference, and then there was a couple of games that I really thought, wow, man, now people are starting to think, they're starting to get into it. So yeah, I'd like to help. Hopefully this series will be helpful to at least get them headed the right direction to get the thing going. But the biggest problem with developing a new game is that the ability to patent a game, unless you're doing totally something different with cards and dice, you can get copied. You come in here and have the greatest game in the world, and tomorrow, one of these other vendors have already copied you. The thing is you got to really have a name that's catchy. It's a known fact that High Card Flush outperforms I Love Suits. It just, no matter how hard they try to put it in, and you can tell the player till you're blue in the face, it's the same game, but they just it's I always relate it to Kleenex. Somebody says, give me a Kleenex. Well, Kleenex isn't a facial tissue. It's a brand of facial tissue, but everybody always. So when we were making the game, we had a game named Hot Hand Dice in Cincinnati. I love that name, and we trademarked the name. And I tell all these new guys, if you want to protect your game, get a good name and trademark it, because that's what'll save you in the long run. But New York's exactly the same. So, all right, well, I'm going to cross that off my list when I start developing games.
If I had one suggestion for anybody looking to get a game in New York, be it a new electronic game or a new table game, I would say get a good contract and partner with somebody, because that's really how you're going to get into a jurisdiction like New York or even PA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great suggestion. And I uh I know now, it used to be these vendors were brutal, all of them. You know, they wanted to take the bulk of the share if they did that. But now it seems like you know, like I said, with the ability for everybody to copy, if somebody's got something fairly good out there, I think they'll strike you up a fairly decent deal. So yeah, that's great advice, Michael. Thanks for sharing that. So what else can you guys that I haven't thought about New York? What am I missing?
You're missing the city that never sleeps.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Michael? What give me, so we're going to put a over under here. So let's put over under 18 months.
Over.
Yeah, I boy, I don't. I'd go over, but I'd go just over. I think between 18 and 2 years.
Yeah, I'm hearing from my sources last week that they're projecting 2025 will be the temporary casinos, or you know, like the two that already have casinos, they will have their space ready by then. But if somebody new's coming in the market, you won't see it till 2025. But I'm fascinated. I'm totally fascinated by the idea of casino table games. There's already casinos in New York City. I'm fascinated with table games. You know, I just think about, you know, what do you pay a floor supervisor to go live in New York City, right? I mean, even if you're paying him $100,000, it's like making 30
Right.
anywhere else.
Yep.
So how much does a floor supervisor make? You know, and how much does a ship manager make? I know what it would take, and let me tell you, if anybody out there is looking to be, you better come with some serious do re mi, because I'm not moving to New York unless I'm getting paid. And to put it right here on the line, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not living that lifestyle for, you know, pennies on a dollar. It's just, you know, I don't. You know what somebody told me one time? You know, you should be, you got the prestige of working for me, and I'm listen. I can't feed my kids on prestige. So, right. So what do you think? Would you
I'll put it
work
to you
there?
this way. In 1990, what was it? 99, 2000, when Detroit opened up. I had 100,000 a year offer to go up as a pit manager and turned it down.
Yeah.
When I was out in Vegas. So if that gives you any idea what it would take for me to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Tom? Big Apple for you?
No. They couldn't pay enough. There's no way. There's no way, because I know they're going to end up, their supervisors are probably going to be paid 70, 75, like they did out in at Wynn. And then it's just going to be a slight bump from there as you go up the totem pole, you know? So there's no way that they're going to pay their floor supervisors $100,000.
No.
Yeah. The only thing that excites me about New York is that, you know, I'm a big Asian games market guy, and I've run some pretty significant operations when it comes to baccarat and tiles and so. And so that it's going to be a monster. It's going to be out of control. It's going to be one of them casinos where you can't make a mistake. You know, you could put a blow up doll with a rope on it and have the dealer tug on it and say, "Go ahead, change it," and you couldn't miss, really.
Yeah.
But that part of it excites me. But man, I love to visit New York, but I don't think I could take a steady diet of it. But you know, God bless whoever ends up there, and I'll come out and check it out, and I'm excited, but it's not for me.
Yeah. No, not to live there. Great place to visit.
That's
I
it.
think something that I would say is New York may be the biggest Asian market outside of Macau.
You know, I would probably agree with you. And so what does New York do to Atlantic City in your guys' opinion?
I think it thins the herd.
Yeah, definitely thins the herd. What's
Yeah.
going to happen to Resorts World once it opens? $1 billion empty building? I don't know. I'm worried for them.
It's really interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Like you're talking about the Catskills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That
the
could
big
be,
question
well,
is, TJ, what happens to them if they don't get the New York City market?
Right. Yeah.
No.
They could pump money over to keep it open if they
Right.
got it. But if they don't,
If they don't capture that,
yeah. Yeah. If
ticket,
they get the
that's
license, then I don't really think they care if they use Catskills for a warehouse. I
Right.
mean, they'll be making enough money to cover both of them. I'm sure. So let me ask you this. So and we're doing this series about other jurisdictions and places. If you guys had a choice besides New York, where would you want to be and why?
myself, Vegas. I never really got to do Vegas as Vegas. I was out there going to school to be a pharmacist. I was an on-call dealer for a short 6 months, and I'd really like to run an operation out there just to see what it's like.
How about you, Michael?
Well, I did the Vegas thing. I was out there. I did the Hard Rock. I did the Bellagio, and it was fun. Uh, Out at the show, I convinced myself there's no way that they could get me back there shy of a egregious paycheck. Um, I think for me, it would have to be, well, I'm looking towards the North Carolina area.
Yeah.
Our parent company has a partnership with a tribe down there, so when they expand, we'll see. Maybe I'll head south.
Get all
Yeah,
that
so
steel belt.
I was out there for 23 years. Now, again, my experience, I really, I had one of the greatest experiences of my life working at the Hard Rock, Las Vegas. So did you, Michael. And, I talk on the MaxBet podcast that it was absolute magic for me. It really was. And if you get a chance to watch that podcast, TJ, there's a couple good stories about the Hard Rock that you might not want to miss. But anyway, Vegas is totally different now. It really is. I mean, it's definitely a young man's game. So you want to get out there fairly soon. It's super high intensity compared to when me and Michael were there, and it's not even the same place, but it's a spectacle. It's something I would think everybody. I think you're better off though of being in running a place in a jurisdiction outside of Las Vegas first, and then going into Las Vegas versus the other way around, because the regulators really look at you. Oh, here comes one of these Vegas guys. He thinks he can do anything he wants, and all this. And they don't realize that you can conform to anything just like anybody. But I would like to do that. But one thing I did find that I never could get away from the action. Like when I left work, I passed 14 signs for jackpots, personal injury attorneys, strip clubs. I mean, you never, you're trying to go to the grocery store and you're never let down. I mean, you're on full go anytime you take yourself outside the door. And I took a trip about halfway through my 23 years there to Caesars, Indiana. And so I drove down that long road that you go to get into Caesars, Indiana, if you know what I'm talking about. And the thing that hit me like a ton of bricks when I left there was nothing. When I left that casino, when I got out of that parking lot, there was no signs about come to the casino or jackpot this world or 25-cent hot dog. There was nothing. I could shut down, and as a worker, I thought that was paradise. I said, man, if I could do my table games thing, but yet shut it off. I need to shut it off. And one thing you'll find out if you ever do work, it never shuts off. And I think it's even worse now because the traffic wasn't near as bad as what it is now. It's absolutely berserk. And now with this Formula One thing, they're repaving the strip. It's crazy. I mean, I don't know how much you traveled, Michael, but it was all back roads. If the Uber picked you up, they took you to back roads, and I tried to take the tram just so I wouldn't have to deal with it.
That's what I did. Got the tram pass and then did the trams.
Yeah.
Trying to drive was crazy. For
All
sure.
right. So any last comments, Michael? What do you got to offer there?
I'm just looking to see what's coming next. Like we were saying at the conference. We've got AI out there, virtual casinos. I think that partnering with virtual and brick and mortar is going to be huge. And as New York opens up this way, I think you'll see AC thin out, and competition is good, but it's good for the players. So
What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, every new day is different, right? It's a different experience. I never thought being in this position I would see so much change so fast, especially after coming out of the pandemic. But yeah, I was at that conference last year with the AI, and the AI is truly, truly interesting, and I think it's gonna revolutionize the industry.
Yeah, so we was talking and I talked in the podcast about it that I did the other day. Is I'm hearing that they're working, virtual is the next round, right? So the next round is not only are you on Bet MGM and you're on their casino, but now you got the goggles on, right? And now you're in here and your buddies are here with you, right? And you get to pick your dealer. Like I want a 5'7" brunette that talks nothing but standardbred racing to me, and then the next time I come out, she knows I want to talk about the Trotters and Pacers or the Eagles or what I don't have to. And she never rude, never insults me, always greets me. So that scares me. That scares me to death. I don't know. A perfect environment. Why would somebody go to a brick and mortar? So I'm telling you, if you're not training customer service right now and you're getting your ducks in a row for this, you're going to be left behind. I'm just going to tell you like it is. I'm at the end of the road, and I feel very comfortable that I think I'm going to make it till the end. But it's going to be a tough game. You're going to have to be an operator again, and that's something a lot of people don't know how to do.
It's tough to compete against a personalized gaming experience. That's going to be very, very tough to compete against. But you're right. We do have to focus on that service. We live and die by that service.
Yep. Absolutely. And people just keep, they used to say you can teach a monkey to deal. That is not my belief anymore, because my daughter went through high school with a calculator sitting on the desk. You can't have a calculator sitting on the desk when you're dealing a table game. Maybe that'll be the next virtual. The guy's got a virtual calculator, gives him all the payoffs, but you can't do that. So if a person hasn't got an aptitude for math and doesn't have a personality, they got no chance, because the first thing going to come out, especially if you got a smoking casino, guy's going to come out and he's going to blow smoke in your face, and then he's going to blame you for every hand that you dealt. So I think people nowadays need to be wired. You just can't teach a monkey to deal. That's what do they call it? Fallacy. It's not true. It's not a true statement in this day and era.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you guys for stopping by. It's been a great conversation. I know Michael, if anybody got questions about New York, catch you on LinkedIn. You're more than willing. And same thing with you, Tom. I know you're always willing to provide, be a source. So if you got questions about the Big Apple, now's the time to ask before you make that trek, man. A little backpack on your, back and heading into the big city, because once you're there, it's going to be dynamite, man. It's going to be. If I was 25 years younger, maybe 30 years younger, I would go for it, man. I would go for it. I'd be right in the middle of that baccarat pit, and tearing it up, because it's going to be 3 deep and it's going to be crazy. Yeah. Guys, thank you for coming on Being a No. Folks, go ahead, Michael.
No, I said thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you. There's going to be a subscribe button down here. That's very important. How about hitting that thing? hit the like button, hit the notifications. You'll know every time I put a new video out. And you know one thing, if you want to know what's going on, you always got to be in the know. Thank you. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, Benny.